The Odd and Even Company, Moscow. Excerpts from Nikolai Gogol, The Nose. Written and directed by Alexandr Pономарев. Adaptation from The Nose by Nikolai Gogol, along with the text by Innocenty Alinsky, Velimir Khlebnikov, Daniil Harms, Vladimir Nabokov. Recorded in Moscow. The English text that follows is rendering rather than translation. A poem by Khlebnikov. A bird aspiring to fly higher flies to the sky. A lady aspiring to stand higher wears shoes on high heels. When I have no shoes, I go to the market and buy ones. When somebody has no nose, he buys some wax. When a nation has no soul, it goes to the neighboring nation and buys it. They who have no soul. No, I can't stand it anymore. What are they doing to me? They're pouring cold water on my head. They won't listen to me. They won't pay heed to me. What have I done? Why are they torturing me? What do they want of me? What can I give them? I have nothing. I cannot stand all these tortures. Save me. Get me out of here. Give me a team of swift horses. Come on, my coachman. Get me out of here, out of this world. Sky above me. There's a star twinkling far ahead. Grey mist. I can see the sea on one side, Italy on the other. Here are Russian visitors. Is that my mother? Before the window. Mother, save your poor son. Shed a tear on his sick head. Look how they are torturing him. Your son has nowhere to go in this world. Dear mother, have mercy on your poor son. I wonder if you know that the Bey of Algeria has a lump under his very nose. Speaks with an accent. Nikolai Gogol died in Moscow Thursday about 8 in the morning, March the 4th, 1852. He was almost 43. He was exhausted as a result of a private hunger strike by which his morbid melancholy tried to counter the devil. This culminated in acute anemia of the brain, and the treatment he was subjected to hastened the death of an organism already gravely impaired by the after effects of malaria and malnutrition. The couple of diabolically energetic physicians who insisted on treating him as if he were an average bedlamite intended to break the back of their patient's insanity before attempting to patch up whatever bodily health he still had left. Dr. Over had his patient plunged into a warm bath where he was soused with cold water, after which he was put to bed with half a dozen plump leeches affixed to his nose. He had groaned and cried. He shivered as he lay naked in bed and kept pleading to have the leeches removed. They were dangling from his nose and getting into his mouth. Remove them. He was groaning as he tried to sweep them off, so that his hands had to be held by the stout Over's hefty assistants. We can imagine what he felt if we remember too that all his life he had been obsessed by a particular aversion to slimy, creeping, furtive things. And the aversion had a kind of religious basis. The forehead was changing, the horn was rising, growing, twisting. The horn began to bend. It began to bend. The forehead was growing. The higher and broader is the forehead, the more twisted is the horn. What could that mean? That the horn has become a small circle and the forehead has become a small bag. Hey, hey, the forehead is very high and the horn was sucking its life-sustaining juices. As a child, he strangled and buried a hungry and timorous cat, not because he was naturally cruel, but because the slinking softness of the poor animal's body made his gorge rise. Is unpleasant. It is necessary to dwell upon it a little longer to bring out the curiously physical side of Gogol's genius. The belly is the bell of his stories. The nose is their bow.
Ощущение носа вылилось в конце концов в рассказ «Нос» поистине дин этому органу.
Он был таким длинным и острым, что умел самостоятельно, без помощи пальцев, проникать в любую, даже самую маленькую табакерку, если, конечно, щелчком не отваживали незваного гостя, о чем Гоголь игриво сообщал в письме одной молодой дамы. Проявись мог бы и утверждать, что
A Freudian might suggest that in Gogol's topsy-turvy world, human beings are turned upside down. In 1841, Gogol coolly declared that a council of doctors in Paris had found his stomach to be placed upside down, so that the part of the nose is played by some other organ and vice versa. From the very start, the nose as such was a funny thing to his mind, as to that of all Russians. Something sticking out, something not quite belonging to its bearer, and at the same time, something peculiarly and grotesquely masculine. It is almost painful the way Gogol has, when describing a pretty maiden, of dwelling upon the smooth, egg-like quality of her face. Hundreds of Russian proverbs and sayings revolve around the nose. We hang it in dejection, we lift it up in glory. It is used as a measure of length. A big one is said to bridge the Volga. Slack memory is advised to make a notch in it. In Switzerland, he had quite a field day, knocking the life out of the lizards all along the sunny mountain pass. The cane he used for this purpose may be seen in a daguerreotype of him taken in Rome in 1845. It is a very elegant affair. Rises the dead man in a white shroud. A very elegant affair. He is shown in 3/4, holding that slim ivory-knobbed cane between the delicately shaped fingers of his writing hand, as if the cane were a pen. The nose is big and pointed, in keeping with the dark features of his face. A dark shading remindful of that which is used to surround the eyes of romantic characters in the old cinema pictures, lend his gaze a sunken and slightly haunted expression. Slightly haunted expression. And if the dim print of the past could burst into color, we would see the bottle green tint of that waistcoat flecked with orange and amaranth, with a pleasant addition of minute dark blue eye spots in between. on the whole resembling the skin of some exotic reptile. Well, not bad. I like it. But I think you have to say what it is all about. And at the end, something like bibliography should be given. Any cultured man can find dates in an encyclopedia or any textbook on Russian literature. Reading a sample of vulgar, traditional class struggle-oriented analysis of Gogol's work from a Soviet school textbook. Evil forces with V at the head are associated with the oppressors of the Ukrainian people. Homer's combat with the demons takes on a social meaning. The leading subject of the story, Nose, is the loss and recovery of outward importance of the personality while it has inner worthlessness, in a sharply grotesque manner. What? In a manner of sharp grotesque. Gogol exposes career-making aspirations, servility, humility, and the worthlessness of all bourgeois classes of the Tsarist Russia. They would be displeased if you made them make inquiries about something. That depends. They're tarred with the same brush. They would like to know what it is all about. I mean, a plot. You see, Gogol's stories only imitate stories with a plot. It is like a rare species of a moth which has rejected its appearance and imitates entirely different creatures, say some popular butterflies. Or a lizard, or a bird. Yes. Well, I understand. But a plot is a plot. One should tell what it is all about. And then we need his portrait. Yes. Let's only give the portrait of his nose. Not a waist portrait, not a head portrait, only his nose. Big, lonely, sharp nose. An unusual zoological species. Nose is something coming into nothing. G is nothing coming into something. On March the 25th in St. Petersburg, an unusually strange incident occurred. Barber Ivan Yakovlevich, who lived in Vozdesensky Prospect, his last name was lost. Barber Ivan Yakovlevich woke up rather early and felt the smell of newly baked bread. He saw his wife taking newly baked loaves out of the oven. His wife liked to drink coffee very much. I don't feel like having coffee today, he said to his wife. I'd rather have some hot bread with onions. Ivan Yakovlevich would have liked to have both, but he knew that two things at a time could not be demanded, for his wife hated such whims. She gave him some bread. for it was better than spend coffee for him. He dressed, prepared the onions, and assuming an air of importance, started to cut the bread. To his amazement, he saw something whitish in it. He pressed and felt it with his finger. It was pretty dense, and he wondered what it could be. He put his fingers in it and came up with a nose. It was really a nose. He was in horror. But that horror was nothing compared to the indignation that overwhelmed his wife. Whose nose have you cut off, beast, crook, drunkard? I'll report you to the police myself. I've heard that while shaving people, you snatch at their noses so fast that the noses can hardly stay on their faces. He recognized that nose. It belonged to nobody other than the collegiate assessor Kovalov, whom he shaved every Sunday. I'll wrap it up, let it be there for a while in the corner, then I'll take it out. I won't hear of it. To keep a cut-off nose in my room, you scoundrel, dirty man. You can only drag your razor along people's faces. What about performing your duty, you stupid log? Take it out of here, out. I don't want its smell here. Ivan Yakovlevich was completely dumbfounded. He kept thinking, how did it all come to pass, he said at last. Was I drunk last night or something? Incredible. Bread is a baked thing. A nose is something of an entirely different nature. I can't figure it out at all. The very thought that a policeman would find a nose made him completely sick. He was trembling with his entire body. At last he took out his underwear and high boots, put them on, wrapped up the nose, and went out. He meant to plant it somewhere, put it under somebody's gate, and make believe he had dropped it accidentally and get away. But each time he was about to do that, he ran into an acquaintance who immediately started asking questions. Who are you going to shave so early? So that Ivan Yakovlevich couldn't find the right moment. Another time he had already dropped it, but the guard pointed to him with his halberd, saying, "Pick it up, you've dropped something there." He was desperate, the more so because there were more and more people in the street. Then he decided to throw it into the Neva River from a bridge. Here I have to beg your pardon for not properly introducing Ivan Yakovlevich, a respectable man in many ways. Like any respectable Russian craftsman, he was a terrible drunkard, and though he was shaving everybody else's chins, his own was always unshaven. His clothes were extremely dirty. He was a great cynic, and when the collegiate assessor Kovalov was complaining that his hands were smelling, why should they smell, Ivan Yakovlevich retorted, and put the leather on every conceivable spot on the latter's face, wherever his fancy told him. So this respectable man was standing on St. Isaac Bridge now. He bent down, as if wondering how much fish there were, and threw the cloth into the water. He felt an enormous relief, as though tons of weight fell off his shoulders. Rather than get around to shaving his customers' chins, he headed for the establishment carrying the sign, "Food and Tea." And here he suddenly took notice of a district police officer at the end of the bridge. The officer had broad sideburns and was wearing a three-cornered hat and a sword. Ivan Yakovlevich froze. The officer beckoned to him, saying, "Come on here, my dear." "Tell me what you were doing right there on the bridge." "By Jove, sir, I was going about my business and just wondered how fast the current was." "You're lying. You won't get away with it. Answer me, will you?" "Sir, I'm ready to shave you twice a week or even 3 times. "That's nothing. 3 barbers shave me and think it's a great privilege." "Will you tell me what you were doing over there on the bridge?" Ivan Yakovlevich became pale. But here fog comes over the whole scene, and nothing whatever is known about what happened next. In front of him was Schiller. A poem by Schiller follows. It's the wrong Schiller, not the one who wrote Wilhelm Tell and the story of the 30-year war, but the well-known one, the tinsmith from the next street. Next to Schiller stood Hoffmann. Lines from Hoffmann follow. Not the right one, but a pretty good shoemaker from the Officer Street, Schiller's good friend. Schiller was sitting with his rather thick big nose up, while Hoffmann was holding him by the nose with his 2 fingers and was operating with his big shoemaker's knife on its very surface. They were both speaking German. He puts on headphones Schiller's words ran as follows: I don't need my nose. I spent £3 of tobacco for one nose. I pay so much for a pound of smelling tobacco. It comes to so many rubles a week. Do you follow me, my friend Hoffman? 14 rubles, 40 kopecks per one nose. To tell you the honest truth, on holidays I smell good Dutch tobacco because I don't want to smell lousy Russian tobacco on holidays. During the year I smell 2 pounds of Dutch tobacco. 2 rubles a pound by 14 is so much. This is sheer robbery. I'm asking you, my friend Hoffman, is that not so? Yeah, 20 rubles, 40 kopecks. I'm a German from Swabia. I have a king in Germany. I don't want a nose. Here is my nose. Cut off my nose. Wait a minute. Get out of here. Schiller gave a long shout. It's pretty strange, sir. You probably didn't notice. I am an officer. I'm an officer. What is an officer? He speaks with a German accent. I'm a German from Swabia. Mine will be an officer myself. Half a year a cadet, 2 years a lieutenant. Tomorrow now I is an officer. I does this to an officer. Alexei Yakovlev woke up pretty early and did brr with his lips, as he normally did waking up, though he didn't know why himself. Kovalov ordered a mirror to be brought to him, for he wanted to see a pimple under his nose. But to his great amazement, he saw an absolutely smooth place where his nose used to be. He was frightened and asked for some water to wash his eyes. No nose. He felt the place with his fingers to make sure he was not asleep. He was not. He jumped out of bed at once, got dressed, and went straight to the head police master in a coach. As luck would have it, not one cabman was to be seen in the street, so he had to walk. Perhaps it just seemed to me. A nose couldn't have just disappeared, he thought, and dropped in at a confectioner's, just to have a look at himself in the mirror. Luckily, there was nobody in the confectionery, just the boys who were sweeping the floors and carrying the trays. Thank God there's nobody, he said. Now I can have a look. He went up to the mirror timidly and had a look. God damn it, he said and spat. I wish there was something in place of the nose. As it is, it's just an empty space. He got out of the confectioner's and decided, contrary to his habit, not to look or smile at anybody.
Милостивый государь. Милостивый государь. Что угодно. Мне право странно, милостивый государь. Мне кажется, вы должны знать свое место. А между тем я вас нахожу и где же? В церкви. Согласитесь?
Извините меня, я не могу взять в толк, о чем вы извольте говорить.
Объясните.
Как мне ему объяснить? Конечно, я.
Впрочем, я, майор, мне ходить без носа, согласитесь, это неприлично. Какой-нибудь торговке, которая продает на Воскресенском мосту.
Очищенные апельсины.
Апельсины? Можно сидеть без носа, но имея в виду получить, притом будучи во многих домах знаком с дамой.
Чехтарева, статская советница.
И другие. Вы посудите сами, милостивый государь, я не знаю.
При этом майор Ковалев пожал плечами.
Извините! Если на это смотреть сообразно с правилами долга и чести, вы сами можете понять.
Ничего решительно не понимаю. Изъяснитесь удовлетворительно.
Милостивый государь, я не знаю, как понимать слова ваши. Здесь все дело кажется совершенно очевидно. Или вы хотите... Ведь вы мой собственный нос!
Нос посмотрел на майора, и брови его несколько нахмурили.
Вы ошибаетесь, милостивый государь. Я сам по себе. Между нами не может быть никаких тесных отношений. Вы сами хотите повторить на вашего инструктира, вы должны служить в Сенате. По юстиции. Я же по ученой части.
Сказавши это, нос отвернулся и продолжал молиться.
Hey, cabman. Go right to the head police master. Is the head police master in? No, sir, answered the doorkeeper. He's just left. Oh, damn. Yes, added the doorkeeper. Not so long ago. But he has. Had you come a minute earlier, you might have met him. Without taking the handkerchief from his face, Kovalov got on the cab and shouted, "Go straight on." How come straight on? There's a turning here. Shall I go right or left? So he made a decision and told the cabman to go right to the newspaper office. As they were driving there, he kept pounding the cabman on the back with his fist, saying, Hurry up, scoundrel. Come on, crook. Oh, sir, the cabman kept saying, shaking his head and whipping his horse, whose hair was very long, as if it were a Pekingese dog. The cab stopped at last, and Kovalov, who was short of breath, ran into a small room where a grey-haired official in an old tailcoat was counting copper coins, a quill pen in his teeth. Good afternoon. I'd like to place an advertisement. By all means, but would you wait a little? A lackey from a respectable household was standing nearby, thought it appropriate to show his sociability. Would you believe it, sir, that the little pet doesn't cost 80 kopecks? That is, I wouldn't pay 8 kopecks for it, but the countess loves it. By Jove, she does. And here you are, 100 rubles goes to the one who'll find the dog. If one speaks honestly like you and me, people's tastes are really quite different. If you're a hunter, keep a hound or a poodle. Don't spare 500 rubles, pay 1,000 rubles as long as the dog is good. How many letters are there in the notice? 1, 2, 3. A coachman of sober behavior is released to be hired. A little used carriage brought from Paris 40 years before. A serf girl of 19 who is practicing laundering and is also suitable for other jobs is released to be hired. A strong coach without one spring. A young dapple-gray fiery horse, 17 years old. Turnip and radish seeds newly received from London. A country estate with land good for planting a beautiful birch tree and spruce orchard. In the same place, there was an invitation to those who wanted to buy old shoe soles. That could be done daily from 8 to 3 o'clock in the morning. The room where all this was taking place was very small, smoked, and the air was so thick that one could have hung an axe there. For simple Russian menfolks have an amazing ability to condense the atmosphere, and whether there were 4 street sweepers gathered in one room, or 1 coachman, one might well have hung an axe in the air in that place. Fortunately, the collegiate assessor Kovalov couldn't feel the smell because he covered his face with a handkerchief and because his nose was God knows where. Can I ask you, dear sir? I need it badly. Just a minute. 2 rubles 43 kopecks. 1 minute. 1 ruble 64 kopecks. What can I do for you? I'd like, you know, it was some swindle or cheating. I can't make it out myself. I just would like you to indicate that the one who will get hold of this scoundrel will get a handsome reward. Can I ask you your last name? Why do you need my name? I cannot give it to you. I have many decent acquaintances. Чехтарёва, wife of a state councillor, Potocina Pelageya Grigorievna, field officer's wife. They might learn it, God forbid. You can just write a collegiate assessor, or a major would be even better. Was the escaped man a serf of yours? What serf? This wouldn't have been such a great swindle. It was my nose who escaped. What a strange name. And how much money did this Mr. Nose steal? You got it all wrong. It was my own nose. Must have meant to play a joke on me. How could it have disappeared? I can't really figure it out. I can't tell you how. But now he's driving around the city and calling himself a councillor of state. That's why I ask you to print a demand that one who captures it, hand it over to me as soon as possible. How can I live without such a conspicuous part of my body? It's not a toe which I could put into a boot for nobody to see. I go to all kinds of decent people. Cheftareva, the wife of a councillor of state. Potocina, the wife of a field officer. She has a very pretty daughter. A very pretty daughter. I cannot visit them like this. No, I can't print such an advertisement. Why? The newspaper might lose face. If everybody started placing ads that a nose has escaped. As it is, they say that a lot of preposterous things are published. Why preposterous? There's nothing like this here. It just seems to you. Look what happened last week. An officer came, just like you, to place a notice about a black poodle that has run away. You'd think, what could have been wrong about it? While it turned out that this poodle was a treasurer of some office or other. But I'm not placing an ad about a poodle. It's about my own nose. That is as good as about myself.
Он приехал домой, едва чуя под собой ноги. Были уже сумерки. Печальною.
Или чрезвычайно гадкою.
Брысь! Показалась ему его комната после всех его неудачных исканий. Зашедший в переднюю, увидел он на кожаном запачканном диване лакея своего Ивана, который, лежа на спине, плевал в потолок и попадал довольно удачно в одно и то же место. Фу! Такое равнодушие человека взбесило его, и он ударил его шляпой по лбу, примолвив:
Ты, свинья, всегда глупостями занимаешься.
Экой пасквильный вид.
Это было точно непонятно. Если бы пропала пуговица, серебряная ложка, часы или что-нибудь подобное, но пропасть. И кому же пропасть?
Да еще на собственной квартире.
Боже мой, за что это такое несчастье? Будь я без руки или без ноги, все бы это лучше. Будь я без ушей, скверно, однако, что сноснее, но без носа человек Черт знает что, птица, не птица, гражданин, не гражданин, просто возьми да и вышвырни за окошко. И пусть бы уже на войне отрубили или надуэлили, я сам был причиной, но ведь пропал ни за что, ни просто, пропал даром, ни за грош. Только нет, не может быть невероятно, чтобы нос пропал никаким образом невероятно, это верно, или во сне снится, или просто грезится. Может быть, я как-нибудь ошибкой выпил вместо воды водку, которую вытираю по утрам себе бороду вместо бритья. Иван дурак не принял, я верно хватил ее.
Откуда я? Зачем я здесь стою? Что я вижу? Где же я? Ну, попробую по пальцам все предметы перечесть. Табуретка, столик, бочка, ведро, кукушка, почка, метла, сундук, рубашка, мяч, кузница, букашка, дверь на петле, рукоятка на метле, 4 кисточки на платке, 8 кнопок на потолке. Оставшись один, я решился заняться делами государственными. Я открыл, что Китай и Испания совершенно одна и та же земля. И только по невежеству их считают за разные государства. Я советую всем нарочно написать на бумаге «Испания», то и выйдет Китай. Меня чрезвычайно огорчало событие, имеющее быть завтра. Завтра в 7 часов совершится странное явление. Земля сядет на Луну. Об этом и знаменитый английский химик Ленком пишет. Признаюсь, я ощутил сердечное беспокойство, когда вообразил себе необыкновенную нежность и непрочность Луны. Луна ведь обыкновенно делается в Гамбурге, и прескверно делается, я удивляюсь, как не обратит на это внимание Англия. Делает ее хромой бочар, видно, что дурак, никакого понятия не имеет о Луне. Он положил смоляной канат и часть деревянного масла. И оттого по всей земле вонь страшная, так что нужно затыкать нос. И оттого самая Луна такой нежный шар, что люди никак не могут жить. И там теперь живут только одни носы. И потому-то самому мы не можем видеть носов своих, ибо они все находятся в Луне. И когда я вообразил, что Земля, вещество тяжелое, насевшее, может размолоть в муку носы наши, то мною овладело какое беспокойство, что я, надевши чулки и башмаки, поспешил в залу Государственного совета с тем, чтобы дать приказ полиции не допустить Земле сесть на Луну. Бритые гранды и капуцины, которых я застал в зале Государственного совета, великое множество, были народ очень умный.
И когда я им сказал: господа, спасем Луну, потому что Земля хочет сесть на нее, то все в ту же минуту бросились исполнять мое монаршее желание. И многие полезли на стену с тем, чтобы достать Луну. Но в это время вошел великий канцлер. Увидевший его, все разбежались. Я, как король, остался один. Но канцлер, к удивлению моему, ударил меня палкой и прогнал в мою комнату. Такую имеют власть в Испании народные обычаи.
Having thought out all the circumstances, Major Kovalyov decided that no other than field officer's wife Patochina was to blame for this condition of his. For she had wanted him to marry her daughter. He liked to flirt with her himself, but tried to avoid the final settlement. When the officer's wife told him point blank that she wanted him to marry her daughter, he sailed off without much noise, saying that he was too young and needed to serve for another 5 years for his age to reach a round figure of 42. So the officer's wife must have made up her mind to inflict vengeance on him and hired some witches. For in no way could one have supposed that the nose had been cut off. No one had entered his room. Barber Ivan Yakovlevich had shaved him on Wednesday, and during Wednesday and even all Thursday he had the nose on. That she remembered and knew very well. Besides, he would have felt pain. And no doubt the wound wouldn't have healed to be as smooth as a pancake so soon. He was considering whether to take the officer's wife to court formally or visit her in person and prove her guilty. His thoughts were interrupted by light that could be seen through all the keyholes. This meant that the candle in the hall had already been lit. Does Collegiate Assessor Kovalyov live here? Come in. Major Kovalyov is here. A police official came in. A pretty handsome one, with sideburns, which were neither too light nor too dark. With rather plump cheeks. The one that at the very beginning of the story was standing at the end of the bridge. You have lost your nose. Yes, sir. Now it has been found. You don't say so. He was speechless with joy. He was staring at the district police officer, on whose plump cheeks and lips the light of the candle was glimmering. How on earth? In a strange way. He was caught almost on his way. He was about to get in a carriage to go to Riga. And a passport had been long made out to the name of a certain official. What's strange is that at first I mistook him for a gentleman myself, but fortunately I had my spectacles with me. and I saw immediately that this was a nose, for I am short-sighted, and if you stand right before me, I will only see that you have a face, but won't see either a nose or a beard. My mother-in-law, that is the mother of my wife, can see nothing either. Where is it? Where? I'll run there now. Don't you worry. I was aware that you needed it, and have brought it along. What's strange is that the main crook in this story is a barber from Voznesenski Street, who is now in the roundhouse. I have long suspected him as a drunkard and thief. The other day he stole a batch of buttons in a shop. Your nose is exactly the way it used to be. That's it. Sure, that's it. Have a cup of tea with me today. It's a great honor, but I can't. I have to go to a mental hospital right now. Everything has become so expensive. Our people have all scattered. Pushkin is in his country seat, Vyazemsky is abroad. The city is full of scaffolding to allow a better view of Alexander's column, which is to be inaugurated on March 19. Alexander's column, a column in honor of Alexander the Liberator, is a fine sample of a well-proportioned structure. There are lots of officers and soldiers, Russian, Dutch and Austrian ones in the city. Beef and vodka have come up in price. In my household I have a mother-in-law, that is the mother of my wife, and children. The elder one especially shows promise. A very smart boy, but there is no money for bringing him up. Kovalyov understood and slipped a red bill into the hand of the officer, who bowed and left. And at almost the same moment, Kovalyov could hear his voice from the street, where he tried knocking sense into some peasant's head, striking him on the teeth. The peasant's cart had hit a curbstone. It's just it. I can sure recognize it. Here's a pimple from yesterday. What if it won't stick?
С чувством неизъяснимого страха бросился он к столу. Придвинул зеркало, чтобы как-нибудь не поставить нос криво, руки его дрожали. Осторожно и осмотрительно наложил он его на прежнее место. О, ужас! Нос не приклеивался. Он поднес его к рту и нагрел его слегка своим дыханием. И опять поднес к гладкому месту, находившемуся между двух щек. Но нос никаким образом не держался. Душе, полезай, дурак, говорил он ему. Но нос был как деревянный. И падал на стол с таким странным звуком, как будто бы пробка. Лицо майора судорожно исказилось. Неужели он не прирастет, говорил он в испуге. Но сколько раз не подносил он его на его же собственное место. Старание было по-прежнему неуспешно. Но сколько раз не подносил он его на его же собственное место, старание было по-прежнему неуспешно. Но сколько раз не подносил он его на его же собственное
Он кликнул Ивана и послал за доктором, который занимал в том же самом доме лучшую комнату в бельэтаже. Доктор этот был видный из себя мужчина и имел прекрасные смолистые бакенбарды, свежую, здоровую докторшу, ел поутру свежие яблоки и держал рот в необыкновенной чистоте, шлифуя зубы 5 разных родов щеточками и полоща его после каждой еды почти 3/4 часа.
Доктор!
Да?
Явился в ту же минуту, спросивший,
Как давно случилось несчастье?
он поднял майора Ковалева за подбородок и дал ему большим пальцем щелчка в то самое место, где прежде был нос. Так что майор должен был дернуть головой с такой силой, что ударился в стену. Медик сказал:
Это ничего.
и посоветовавши отодвинуться немного от стены, велел ему перегнуть голову сначала на правую сторону и, пощупавши то место, где прежде был нос, сказал. И потом велел ему перегнуть голову на левую сторону и сказал.
Заключение дал ему опять большим пальцем щелчка. Так что майор Ковалев должен был дернуть головой, как конь, которому смотрят в зубы. Сделавши такую пробу, медик покачал головою и сказал:
Нет, нельзя. Вы уж лучше так оставайтесь, потому что можно сделать еще хуже. Оно, конечно, представить можно. Я бы, пожалуй, вам сейчас представил бы его. Но только уверяю вас, что это для вас хуже.
Вот хорошо! Как же мне оставаться без носа? Уж хуже не может быть, чем теперь. Это просто черт знает что.
куда же я с такой пасквильностью покажусь?
Я имею хорошее знакомство. Вот и сегодня мне нужно быть на вечере в 2 домах.
Я со многими знаком. Статская советница Чехтарева, Подточина, штаб-офицерша.
Хоть после теперешнего ее поступка я не имею с ней другого дела, как только через полицию. Сделайте милость, нет ли средств? Хоть как-нибудь представьте, хоть нехорошо, лишь бы только держался. Я даже могу его в опасных случаях придерживать рукой. Я же при том и не танцую, чтобы мог вредить каким-то неосторожным движением. Все, что относится насчет благодарности за визит, уж будьте уверены, сколько дозволят мои средства.
Верите ли? Верите ли? Сказал доктор голосом негромким, не тихим, но чрезвычайно уветливым и магнетическим. Что я никогда из корысти не лечу. Это противно моим правилам и моему искусству. Правда, я беру за визиты, но единственно с тем только, чтобы не обидеть своим отказом. Конечно, я бы представил ваш нос, но уверяю вас честью, если уж вы не верите моему слову, что это для вас будет гораздо хуже. Предоставьте все действию самой натуры. Будь чаще голодной водой, и я вас уверяю, что вы, не имея носа, будете так же здоровы, как и имея его. А нос я вам советую положить в банку со спиртом или еще лучше влить туда 2 столовых ложки острой водки и подогретого уксусу. И тогда вы сможете взять за него порядочные деньги.
Слышали? Это нос держится, как какого-нибудь урода из кунсткамеры, что ли?
А я даже сам возьму его, если только вы не подорожите.
Нет! Нет! Ни за что не продам! Лучше пусть он пропадет!
Извините, я хотел быть вам полезным. Что ж делать? По крайней мере, вы видели мое старание. Сказавши это, доктор с благородной осанкой вышел из комнаты. Ковалев не заметил даже лица его. В глубокой бесчувственности видел только выглядывавшие из рукавов его черного фрака рукавчики, совершенно белый и чистый, как снег, рубашки.
Он решился на другой же день, прежде представления жалобы, писать к штаб-офицерше. Не согласится ли она без бою возвратить ему то, что следует? Письмо было такого содержания. Милостивая государыня Александра Григорьевна.
Пелагея!
Милостивая государыня Александра Григорьевна. Не могу понять странного со стороны вашей действия. Будьте уверены, что, поступая подобным образом, ничего вы не выиграете и ничуть не принудите меня жениться на вашей дочери. Поверьте, что история насчет моего носа мне совершенно известна. Равно как то, что в этом вы есть главная участница, а не кто другой. Равно как то, что в этом вы. Внезапно его отделение со своего места! Побег! И маскирование то под видом одного чиновника, то, наконец, в собственном виде. Есть больше ничего, кроме следствия волхвований, производимых вами или теми, кто упражняется в подобных вам благородных занятиях. Я со своей стороны почитаю долгом вас предуведомить, если упоминаемый мною нос не будет сегодня же на своем месте, то я принужден буду прибегнуть к защите и покровительству законов. Впрочем, с совершенным почтением к вам имею честь быть. Ваш покорный слуга Платон Ковалев. Милостивый государь Платон Кузьмич, чрезвычайно удивило меня письмо ваше. Я, признаюсь вам по откровенности, никак не ожидала, а тем более относительно несправедливых укоризн со стороны вашей. Предуведомляю вас, что я, чиновник, о котором упоминаете вы, никогда не принимал у себя в доме ни замаскированного, ни в собственном виде. Бывал у меня, правда, Филипп Иванович Потанчиков. И хотя он точно просил руки моей дочери, будучи хорошего, трезвого поведения и великой учености, но я никогда не подавал ему никакой надежды. Вы упоминаете еще о носе. Если вы разумеете под сим, что будто бы я хотел оставить вас с носом, то есть дать вам формальный отказ, то меня удивляет, что вы сами об этом говорите. Тогда как я, сколь вам известно, была всегда совершенно противного мнения. Если вы теперь же посватаетесь с моей дочерью законным образом, я готова сей же час удовлетворить вас. Ибо это было всегда предметом моего живя. надежде чего остаюсь всегда готовой к услугам вашим, Александра Пономарева! Нет, говорил Ковалев, прочитавший письмо. Не может быть, она точно не виновата. Письмо написано так, как не мог написать человек, виноватый в преступлении. Ну, коллежский асессор был в этом сведущ, потому что был посылан несколько раз на следствие. Еще в Кавказской области. Каким же образом, какими судьбами это приключилось? Только черт разберет это, сказал он наконец, опустив руки.
Между тем, слухи об этом необыкновенном происшествии распространились по всей столице. И, как водится, не без особенных прибавлений. Тогда умы всех именно настроены были к чрезвычайному. Недавно, только что занимали публику опыты действия магнетизма. Притом история о танцующих стульях в конюшенной улице была еще свежа.
Помоги!
Кому нечего удивляться, что скоро начали говорить, будто нос коллежского асессора Ковалева ровно в 3 часа прогуливается по Невскому проспекту. Любопытных стекалось каждый день множество. Сказал кто-то, будто нос находится в магазине Юнкера. И возле Юнкера такая сделалась толпа и давка, что должна была даже полиция вступиться. Один спекулятор, почтенный наружный, с бакенбардами, продававший при входе в театр разные сухие кондитерские пирожки, нарочно поделал прекрасные прочные деревянные скамьи, на которые приглашал становиться любопытных по 80 копеек от каждого посетителя. Один заслуженный полковник нарочно вышел для этого раньше из дому и с большим трудом пробрался сквозь толпу, но к величайшему негодованию своему увидел в окне магазина вместо носа обыкновенную шерстяную фуфайку и литографированную картинку с изображением девушки, поправлявшей чулок, и глядевшего на нее из-за дерева франта в откидном жилете и с небольшой бородкой. Картинку уже более 10 лет висевшую на одном и том же месте. Отошед, он сказал с негодованием: как можно такими глупыми и неправдоподобными слухами смущать народ? Как можно? Потом пронесся слух, что не на Невском проспекте, а в Таврическом саду гуляет нос майора Ковалева, что будто бы он давно уже там, и что когда еще проживал там Хазрев Мирза, уже тогда удивлялся этому странному, как и странной игре природы. Некоторые из студентов хирургической академии отправились туда. Одна знатная, почтенная дама просила особенно письмом смотрителя засады показать детям ее этот редкий феномен, если можно, с объяснением наставительным и назидательным для юношей. Всем этим происшествиям были чрезвычайно рады все необходимые светские посетители раутов, любившие смешить дам, у которых чрезвычайно истощился. Один господин говорил с негодованием, что он не понимает, как в нынешний просвещенный век могут распространяться такие нелепые выдумки, что он не понимает, как не обратить на это внимание правительство. Господин тот, как видно, принадлежал к числу тех, кто желал бы впутать правительство решительно во все, даже в свои ежедневные ссоры с женой. Вслед за этим...
Но здесь вновь все происшествие закрывается туманом, и что было дальше, решительно неизвестно.
What nonsense is taking place in the world? Sometimes there is no plausibility at all. All of a sudden, the nose that was driving around the city, posing as a counselor of state and making such a splash, got back to its place as if nothing had happened. This occurred on the 7th day of April. Waking up, Major Kovalov looked in the mirror and the nose. He snatched at it with his hand. Sure, it is the nose. Kovalov was about to start dancing with joy when his servant Ivan came into the room. Kovalov ordered him to bring some water and looked in the mirror again. The nose was there. Look, Ivan, it seems I have a pimple on my nose, he said, thinking to himself. What if he says, no, sir, there is no nose itself, let alone a pimple on it? But Ivan said, no pimple. The nose is clean. Good, goddammit, very good, said the major to himself. At this moment, Barber Ivan Yakovlevich looked into the door, but timidly, as if he were a cat that had just been beaten for the theft of meat. Answer now. Are your hands clean? They are, sir. You're lying. I swear to God they are. Kovalov sat down, and in a moment, Ivan Yakovlevich turned all his beard and a part of his cheek into a cream, the like of which is usually served at a merchant's birthday party. There, said Ivan Yakovlevich, you just fancy. And stared at the nose askance. Then, as carefully as one could imagine, he caught the very tip of the nose with his 2 fingers, for this was Ivan Yakovlevich's method.
Иван Яковлевич руки опустил, стал протирать глаза и щупать нос, точно нос еще казалось, как будто чей-то знакомый ужас изобразился в лице.
Ну-ну-ну! Смотри!
Иван Яковлевич руки опустил, оторопело смутился, как никогда не смущался. Наконец стал осторожно щекотать у него бритвой под бородою, и хотя ему было совсем несподручно и трудно брить без придержки занюхательную часть тела, однако же кое-как, упираясь своим большим шероховатым пальцем ему в щеку и в нижнюю десну, наконец одолел все препятствия и выпарил.
When everything was ready, Major Kovalov, dressed in a hurry, took a cab and went straight to the confectioner's. Coming in, he headed right to the mirror. the nose was right in its place. He turned around in high spirits and looked satirically at the military man, one of whom had a nose that was no more than a waistcoat button. Then he went to see another collegiate assessor, or a major, whom he often told in reply to all kinds of sarcastic remarks. You viperish type, I know you only too well. On the way he thought, if the major doesn't laugh his head off upon seeing me, then it's a sure sign that everything is right in its place. But the collegiate assessor in question never said anything. Good damn it, said Kovalev again. Then he ran across the field officer's wife, Patochina, with her daughter, bowed to them, and was greeted warmly, which meant there was no flaw in him. He talked with them at length, and deliberately taking out the snuff box, he started to fill the nose through both entrances, muttering to himself, "There you are, hands. I won't marry the daughter all the same. Going with her just like that, par amour, that'll I do as much as you please." After that, Major Kovalov was always seen in good humor, smiling, chasing positively all pretty ladies. And once he was even seen buying a medal ribbon. Though we don't know why, for it was known for sure that she had never been decorated. That's the story that happened in the northern capital of our vast state. Only now do we see that there is a lot of implausibility about it, let alone that separation of the nose and its appearance in all kinds of places as a counselor of state. Why did Kovalov fail to understand that one couldn't advertise the lack of the nose through the newspaper? It's not that I think that the price is too high. That's rubbish. I'm not a pecuniary person. But it's not decent. It's awkward. It's not good. And again, how did the nose get to the baked bread? And Ivan Yakovlevich himself? No. That's positively incomprehensible. But what's the strangest thing of all is how can authors take up such subjects? I have to admit that I can't understand it at all. That's for sure. No, I can't understand it. First, it doesn't do any good to the country. Second, and again, it doesn't do any good all the same. I just don't know what it is. Though, at the same time, certainly, you can admit all kinds of things. there are all kinds of incongruences. But still, when you think it over properly, there is something to it still. Whatever you say, such occurrences do take place in the world. Seldom, but they do. Speaks with an accent again. What would you say about the artistic conscience of nature? When a butterfly has to look like a leaf, not only are all the details beautifully rendered, but the grub-board holes are generously thrown in. Natural selection in the Darwinian sense could not explain the miraculous coincidence of imitative behavior, nor could one appeal to the theory of the struggle for life. When a protective device was carried to a point of mimetic subtlety, exuberance, and luxury, far in excess of a predator's power of appreciation. So there's no one to deceive. Perhaps just an amateur naturalist.